Greetings, booktubers, and welcome back at Grammaticus Books. Welcome to what's going to be a rather different video here today, because today we're not talking about books. We're not doing a book review. We're not doing a comic book review. We're not doing a top 10 BroTube movie challenge list. Instead, we're talking about artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence invading YouTube in general and BookTube in particular. So why am I talking about this here today? I'm talking about it because last week I did a review of this book here, All My Sins Remembered by Joe Haldeman. And as I was preparing my video in order to do the review of this book, I stumbled on a BookTube channel that I think did an artificial intelligence review of All My Sins Remembered. And in fact, I think the entire BookTube channel is run by an AI bot. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that this is the first time that AI has worked its way onto YouTube. There are a ton of AI channels out there. I actually subscribe to a couple of them, but those channels generally, they're image recreation channels that take American cultural icons such as Batman or Conan or Star Trek, and then re-envision them, reimagine and re-imagery them as like a 1940s movie trailer. And they're very interesting, but they're upfront about what they do. This is the first time that I've come across a BookTube channel doing a book review of a novel that I think is artificial intelligence, and that kind of floored me. So how did this story develop? How did I stumble onto this? There's a bit of a story to it, and we're going to go through it here in detail, piece by piece. How I do my reviews, how that review led me to this channel, what it was looking at this review, listening to it, that led me to draw the conclusion that this was an artificial intelligence bot doing the review, and what the cons of artificial intelligence BookTube are, and if there's possibly any pros to it. That's how we're going to discuss this here today. So how do I do my reviews? How do I come up with a review here of a book on the channel? Well, for All My Sins Remembered and all my other books, I read the book, obviously, and I make mental notes about talking points as I'm going through the book. And frequently, I'll actually write down physically talking points as I'm reading the book. That's step one. Step two is I'll then go out onto the internet and I'll try to find information out about the author or about this novel, the book, that isn't contained within the book itself. So I try to bring that into the review, bring in outside information in order to give a more holistic review of my books. It's one of the things that I try to do, and that's part two of how I review my books here on the channel. And now we get to part three, which is of particular interest to this video here today, is I will go out and I will do a search on YouTube for reviews of the book that I'm about to do my video of and post up on my channel. I do that for a couple of reasons. One, I want to see if anybody who's in my particular niche here, in our particular corner of BookTube, has just posted another video on the same book within the last couple of days. Because if they have, I don't want to put my video right up. I don't want to step on their toes, and I want to give their video room to breathe. And the other thing that I want to do is I want to see how many other reviews have been done of that book. Is this a book that's been reviewed by booktubers dozens of times? Or is this a brand new book review that nobody has done before? And that's important information to me. So in this case here, with All My Sins Remembered, there was actually only 2 dedicated book reviews on YouTube of this book, which floored me, because I know that this is Joe Haldeman's most popular book by far. It's his 1974 Hugo and Nebula Award winner, The Forever War. But in my head, this was his second most popular book, and that turned out not to be the case at all. Down in the comments section of that video, and I'll post my video of this book down below, a ton of people were putting in that they'd never heard of this book. And then there were only 2 other booktubers who had reviewed this book in a dedicated review and a dedicated video. Now, if a booktuber came out there and did a weekly wrap-up and they mentioned this book, or a monthly reading report, it's not going to pick that up. But it did pick up these 2 reviews. The first one was by Ira at SF Words of Wonder. He did a fantastic, about 5-minute review of All My Sins Remembered. I'll link Ira's video down below as well. Highly encourage you to go over and check it out. He's got a great vintage SF science fiction BookTube channel. Go over and check out his review. But then the other review, the second one, is by this channel where I thought it's being run by artificial intelligence. Now, I'm not going to name this channel. I'm not going to do that. But this is why I suspected it is artificial intelligence. The review of All My Sins Remembered on this channel The narrator's not present on the screen, and you get booktube channels that are like that, and some of them are very good. But in this one, the narrator's not on the screen. He's talking off screen, and as he's talking, you get various different covers, different publications of All My Sins Remembered are coming up on the screen, and some types of science fiction related imagery that's sort of related to the book is coming up on the screen as well, as the narrator is discussing the novel. And the review is about 7 minutes in length, and about 2 to 3 minutes in, something rather odd about the narrator starts to register in my brainwaves. And it's the voice of the narrator. Now, it's not an obvious computer-generated voice. It's nothing that blatant, that over the top. It sounds 100% human. It sounds perfectly, exactly like a human being talking. However, the range of emotion, the range of dialogue, the emotional range is within what I would call a very narrow bandwidth. This narrator's never getting excited. There are no long pauses. There are no ums or no ahs. It is very modulated, and it has a very narrow bandwidth of up and down in terms of its emotional variety and the dialogue, the pacing of the dialogue as he's talking about this book. And it strikes me as odd. And then at about 4 minutes in, something else strikes me as very strange with this video review on this channel of All My Sins Remembered. The video reviewer, the narrator, is talking and doing a review, which I would call a very highbrow review. He's talking at a very meta level, using all these broad science fiction themes that he's relating into the book. He's using a lot of 3 and 4 syllable words and superlatives and adjectives in order to describe the book. But it slowly sinks in and starts to dawn on me as I'm parsing out exactly what he's saying, that he's actually hasn't said anything particular or specific to the book itself. He's talking only in vague generalities about the book, and he could be discussing any science fiction book ever written at this point in this video review at about 4 to 5 minutes into a 7-minute video. And that is the other warning bell that I get on this video at this point. And then something else happens. At about 6 minutes in, the narrator finally brings up a point specific to All My Sins Remembered. He discusses who the protagonist is. He names the protagonist of the book, and he gets it wrong. And he doesn't get it a little wrong. It's way wrong, because the protagonist of this book is Otto McGavin. And it's not like this narrator says that his name is Otto McGiven or it's Octavius McGavin. He gets it completely and utterly wrong. And then he immediately follows that up with the main plot of All My Sins Remembered, and he gets the plot wrong as well. And at this point, I'm starting to draw the conclusion. I'm getting to the point where I have decided I am now listening to an artificial intelligence review of All My Sins Remembered. At a bare minimum, I'm listening to somebody who never read the book, but I suspect highly that we have an artificial intelligence bot that is generating this review at this point. So I go down into the comments section, and I put a comment down in the comments, and there's no comments in this video on this channel. And that's going to be a repeating theme with this channel when I go back to it. And I write a very polite comment and I say, hey, is this an AI bot review of this book? I don't mind. I just am asking because you got the name of the protagonist wrong and I'm curious, or something to that effect. And at this point, with my curiosity that has been fired up, I click on the homepage for this channel and I go and I check out the homepage. And I've stumbled across this channel a couple times before. I'd always thought that its reviews were rather strange. But at this point, I'm starting to think very strongly that I have an artificial intelligence booktube channel. And I look at its history on YouTube. And the history for this booktube channel is very interesting, to say the least. The first thing is that it has been around for approximately 2.5 years. And in 2.5 years, it has collected thousands of subscribers. It has more subscribers than I do. Now, I know that that's not that difficult of a task to achieve. That's not that high of a bar to get over. But this channel has thousands of subscribers. In addition to that, it has a total number of videos that it's produced in the last 2.5 years that numbers 34,000 videos. Yes, it has 34,000 videos that it has produced in a 2.5-year period approximately. And then I look at its view count, how many views that this channel has had over its lifetime. And it is approaching 2 million views. Now, the number of views that it had here on All My Sins Remembered was about it's like 43. It might not even have been that many views of it. And I start looking and clicking on various videos of this channel. And most of the videos on this channel have very few views and they have 0 comments. They typically have no comments and they have less than 50 views on all of the videos. It's racking up this high view count by just putting out an immense amount of product. And I click on about a half a dozen videos just to see if it's the same narrator, and it is the same narrator talking in the same modulated voice, doing the same style of reviews as it did here with All My Sins Remembered. And at this point, based on the metadata from the channel and based on what I'd observed and listened to of the review of All My Sins Remembered, I've reached the conclusion that I'm almost certainly looking at an AI bot generated channel and an AI bot, artificial intelligence generated review of All My Sins Remembered. Now, what are the cons of this besides the obvious? And the big one is that if anybody out there, a booktuber or a reader, is trying to find out anything about this book, All My Sins Remembered, and by some mischance they click on this channel and this video, they're not going to get any useful information. The AI bot that is running this channel, if indeed that's what it is, isn't sophisticated enough in order to actually give an informative review. And the person who watches that video is going to go away sadly misinformed about what the book is actually about and not have a good impression of whether or not he should go out and read this book. So that's the first thing. And it's a bit disingenuous to run a channel like that, is the second thing. But to me, the big thing is that this BookTube channel, if it is run by artificial intelligence, and I suspect it is successful. This is a successful channel by any measure. It has thousands of subscribers. It has a view count that's approaching 2 million. It is a successful channel, and that its success will encourage other people to go out and generate other artificial intelligence run BookTube book review channels, and that is just going to clutter BookTube with all this white noise and make it that much more difficult for actual human beings who are actually reading these books and reviewing them and investing emotion and time and effort into it to attract viewers and get any traction and build up a channel, because they're going to be swamped with all these AI bot channels. And particularly if you are a new booktuber just trying to get your feet underneath you, it's going to be very difficult if this is the tip of the spear of an AI booktube invasion. That could be a very bad thing. But is there a good side to this? Is there a flip side to this coin? Is there a positive benefit that AI could bring to BookTube? And I think that there actually is. I think if you took this AI computer program, this artificial intelligence, and you used it to process in all the information, the novels, the magazines, the short stories that are currently in the public domain, such as if it just downloaded Project Gutenberg, that it could use its programming in order to match up different types of information and collate information based on whatever the authors were looking for, authors who are trying to write their own books, who want to see any type of a protagonist of a certain type of character, no matter when they've been written, no matter in what type of genre they've been written. This AI program could go out there and could collate all that information and bring it together. If it wants to put together a precise chronological history of Conan the Barbarian, from Robert E. Howard to every pastiche writer who has ever written about Robert E. Howard, as long as it's in the public domain, it could do that and put it into this great chronological order. It could analyze any type of a plot line along a certain plot arc, no matter what the genre was that it occurred in, no matter who wrote it, and could draw that information in. Basically, it could perform analysis and data collation that is limited only by the imagination of the people who program it to go out and do those tasks. And that could actually be very beneficial. So that's my take on it. That's why I think that this channel is an AI bot channel that was doing this review. A little interesting tidbit, I went back yesterday to try to rewatch that video from this channel of their review of All My Sins Remembered, and they had pulled the video off of the site. All the other Joe Haldeman videos on this channel were still up there. It still has 34,000 plus videos out on its channel, but they had pulled that video. And I think they pulled that video because I put that comment down in the comments section. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about artificial intelligence doing book reviews? Have you stumbled across any type of a book review where you think you were on a BookTube site that was being run by artificial intelligence? What do you think the cons of that are? What do you think the pros of that are? Put it down in the comments section. I would love to hear your guys' take and opinion on it. And with that, I'm going to wrap this one up, and I'm going to say take care, be safe, and I'll catch you guys next time.